I am Brendon Dooley. I am 18 years old and I'm from Carroll County, Maryland. I have two older brothers and this is my video submission to the Dare to Share curriculum. As far as why I would actually like to be a part of this project is a couple reasons, and one of the main ones being is because I'd like to be able to help out in whatever way I could with this project. I've been able to have, the Lord's blessed me with the opportunity to be a part of Dare to Share for a while. As far as I've gone to the last 3 LTCU camps out in Colorado, and those have been incredible. The Lord's again blessed me with the opportunity to have tons of training in how to share my faith. And that's something that if I could share that with other people, I'm trying to share that with other people back here. But if I could be a part of sharing that with other people in this video curriculum, then I would love to be. That's one of the main reasons I could. Also, it'd be a pretty incredible experience to be able to go out and hang out with Greg Steer and again be a part of Dare to Share and be around the people that I've built some awesome relationships with over the years. So that's definitely why I would love to be a part of this. I'd like to tell you about a time where I shared my faith and it didn't turn out so well. Probably one of the most disappointing times I shared my faith was my freshman year of high school in Spanish class. I was someone who was homeschooled going into a public school system, and so obviously my world was shaken, and this was my first mod class, but I really had a heart to wanting to share the gospel with people, and so I kind of started becoming friends with this one guy in the class, and I started hanging out with him, and I started talking to him a lot and everything, and one day in class we were doing this group project, and I started being able to share the gospel with him. I started talking to him and was just like asking him what he believed and stuff like that, and we kind of were going for a while, and it was one of those moments where it felt like God just kind of slowed down time and we were able to go through the gospel and everything. It was really cool. But then there was actually this girl, I'll never forget this moment. A girl who was sitting next to us, all of a sudden, like midway through our conversation, turned and jumped into our conversation and just started ripping me apart. And I wasn't even sure why. She just started getting really mad at me and to the point of like almost yelling at me, like, why are you talking about Jesus? Why are you talking about God? Like all this different stuff. And in fact, everyone else in the class just was silent. And this girl was just talking to me. The teacher didn't even do anything about it. This girl started getting really angry at me. And I'll never forget little old freshman me sitting there like terrified out of my mind that this girl was doing this to me. But that was really interesting. And it was kind of disappointing because for a couple of different reasons. One of the reasons being no one in the class said anything. Like I just kind of had to sit there myself and take it. And 2, afterwards, the kid who I had started sharing the gospel with decided he didn't really want to talk to me anymore, and he kind of decided like maybe this girl was right, like it's not cool to be talking about Jesus, like I don't want to do that anymore, and so he kind of started avoiding me after that. So that was definitely the most disappointing time I shared my faith, mainly because afterwards the kid ended up walking away. An opportunity that I had actually pretty recently to share my faith was one of the most surprising times I've ever shared my faith, and it's actually an ongoing story, which is pretty cool. I have this buddy who was a basketball player, and he ended up getting a stress fracture in his knee, not able to play basketball anymore. Long story short, me and him became lifting partners. And so I'm building this relationship with this guy every day, and we're lifting, we're hanging out, and it's awesome. And for a while, like I was just kind of really comfortable with just being friends with him, and then God began to prick my heart. I was just like, all right, like you need to share the gospel with this kid. Like you need to make it real. You need to keep in mind everything eternal. And so the first time that I began to roll through the gospel with him was so surprising, because he's seriously like the nicest kid in the world. And when I began to talk to him about the gospel, and when I began to talk to him about Jesus, he became this like completely different person that I would have never guessed. He like he's always the type of kid who just kind of put on a face for everyone else, and like I said, he was the nicest kid in the world, and always smiling. But when I began to talk to him about Jesus, this kid in the middle of the weight room, just me and him, started breaking down, almost to the point of tears. Began to talk to me about life and talk to me about his anxiety and all these different things. But it was just really, really surprising, because this kid who looked like he had it all together on the outside, again, I was just shown how broken he was without Jesus. And he didn't accept Christ in that moment, but I'm actually still in the process of sharing the gospel with him, still in the process of being a really good friend with him right now, and just trying to love on him. So yeah, that was definitely one of the most surprising times of seeing this guy who was, like I said, he seemed like he had all the answers, but the moment Jesus was brought up, began to break down, almost crying in the middle of the weight room with me. So yeah.
Hi, my name is Mitch Osterhaus, and I am one of Brendon's youth leaders. I've had the privilege of knowing Brendon for about 9 years, and I've really, over the last 2 to 3 years, really been able to build a really solid relationship with him. I knew his brothers very well, his older brothers. I played soccer with them, and so it's been nice to, I had a relationship with those two, and then to now be able to build a relationship with Brendon has been awesome. And so I have not been his youth leader for very long. I took over the youth group with another guy, Chris Sturdivant, just this past summer. So yeah, it's only been about 6 months since close to 6 months since I've been a youth leader. But it's been awesome to have Brendon in the group, and just to see his leadership abilities. And when he's there in the group, there's just an energy that's not there if he's not there. So he really brings a lot to the table, and he's just an awesome guy to be around. So I think Brendon would be awesome for this for several different reasons. For one, he's an athlete, and he would do great at any sort of activities, and he loves the outdoors. A lot of times, myself and him and some of our other friends will go up to the mountains and just go hiking and exploring and just being God's creation, and we'll read scripture while we're up there, and it's always a great time. But the dude loves being outside. He loves getting dirty. He loves working hard, and I think he'd be awesome for this. One thing that you guys should know about Brendon is that, well, I was his coach this past year, and I've seen him miraculously be healed, along with the whole team, to witness that. And so basically, one game, Brendon tore his ACL, and it was near the end of our season, and he was going to have to miss the rest of the season. And I remember shooting him a text that night saying, "Hey, did you find out what happened?" And he texted back right away, "Yeah, I tore my ACL." And he got it tested by several different trainers, and one who's a lifelong friend and knows his stuff. And they all said it's definitely his ACL. You can feel it. It's torn. And I remember just texting Brendon that night, trying to give him some encouragement. But I think I was the one who was more encouraged than Brendon, because he was still full of the Holy Spirit, and God was at work, and he just kept saying stuff like, "You know what, if this is God's will, then it's God's will." But I'm still trusting in him. And so to see that faith in a young man was really awesome, and it was such an encouragement, not only for myself, who was just an assistant coach, but for our head coach and for the rest of the team, mainly who aren't believers. So it was really awesome. And then the day that maybe about a week later, it was the day that Brendon was officially getting his MRI, and he kept having this faith that God was going to heal his knee. And selfishly myself, I didn't even believe that his knee was going to be healed, and sure enough, he got the MRI, and there was no tear. God had actually healed his knee, and several people had laid hands on him and prayed for him, and he met this random guy when he was visiting a school who laid hands on him and prayed for him the day before. And I tell you that because I think that shows that Brendon's faith is very strong, and he believes that God will do big things. And Brendon is always trying to share the gospel with people, and always sharing his faith, and so to see that as a testament to his faith, and then for him to come back the next game and score a goal, it was an amazing thing, and it was amazing to be a part of, just to be a small part of it. But he's an awesome dude. He'd be awesome for this program, and I hope he's able to come join you guys this summer. Cool.
Sounds good.